Hello, how are you? Welcome to our another live shot where we are talking about the ongoing issues of the Kenyan politics. I'm happy to be part of your intelligent talk, and I hope that you people you enjoy what we do here and what I do here on behalf of our society, so that we can become the moral consciousness of our society. Today, I want to handle a very conscious issue. Today, I want to talk about Gachagua. And do we think that Gachagua can pull an election shocker in Kenya? Do we think that Gachagua is still relevant in Kenya? That is what I want to handle now for the next few minutes. So let me also know your comment. How do you feel about it? I will handle this issue of Gachagua, starting with his history, his trajectory in politics, and where he has reached so far. And is it possible for him to be able to do much more than what he has done so far? So there is a lot I will handle here, and it's my glad that you people you will be able to enjoy what this channel is doing as part of the moral consciousness of our society. As we are aware, Gachagua has been impeached, and he is now doing a lot of grassroots. He is occasionally being seen majorly in churches and in functions in Mount Kenya region. But the question which we are asking ourselves, is it valuable? Is it adding weight to his political weight? Why is it that Mr. Gachagua is still interested in Mount Kenya politics, yet we know that he is an impeached person, and there is a possibility that he will not be able to vie for the next 10 years based on what people said. Although I would also want legal scholars also to help me on that. Does it mean that if you have been impeached, you will have to stay for 10 years? I think 10 years will be late for Gachagua, although you still be active. He is 58 years now, so in 10 years he will be 68. That's a lot of destruction of a political career of somebody. But having said that, Gachagua, we cannot declare him finished and dead politically. There is still a lot he can do. So let me begin with the Gachagua history. Gachagua, as a young man, he started his allegiance with Moi. We remember he was a DO during Moi era. It is not clear how much work he did with Moi, but what we know is that he worked in the regime of Moi. There was a time when a letter was circulated, and it was said that actually he was also sacked in 1997 from being a DO. So Gachagua was a DO. Then he stayed in the court for another 5 years, and in 2002, when Uhuru was making his inroads, Uhuru appointed him as his PA or appointment. And I think those 10 or 15 years he worked with Uhuru, he was able to learn a lot. Then from there, in 2013, when his brother was elected as the governor of Nyeri, he became a very influential person in Nyeri circle. And thereon, in 2017, because he had money, resources, and everything that a Kenyan needs to join politics, he now vied for Madeira member of constituency, and he won. Then after he became Madeira, after he won Madeira constituency, he continued being in Ruto's axis. We are not sure if Gachagua is one of the people who actually Ruto might have wanted to win in the Mount Kenya region so that they could help him when it comes to the time of vying. So that is also still something which we cannot separate very well. Where did the political ambitions of Gachagua come from? Where did he start from? We are not sure. We don't know where he came from. We don't know his ambition was built by who. Though he might have gotten blessings from Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta at that time, who was also vying for a second term in 2017. But we don't know how much influence Ruto brought to him in his politics at that time. So that's a question which any political scholar needs to look at. Then lastly, we now see Mr. Gachagua becoming very bubonic. during the time of COVID there around 2020, where now he went bubonic and he started fighting Uhuru Kenyatta like hell. And we can see his fight to Uhuru Kenyatta all the way up to the time now they captured power in 2022. So that is the previous story of Mr. Gachagua. So he was a fierce man. We used to hear him like he used to call himself Mamau. So there is a lot he used to do in his circles. Then from there, he started his political career with Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, no, with Mr. Ruto as a deputy, and he decided to concentrate with his backyard, whereby much of his politics was about Mount Kenya and also about the shareholder shenanigans. Then we can see after 2 years, there is a demonstration from the young people, the Gen Z, and when the demonstrations come, before the Gen Z the demonstration, Alaida had attempted some demonstration which did not work very much. And during the Raila demonstration is when we saw Gachagua and other people going to Mr. Kenyatta land to burn it, and we can see ships being stolen there. Then from there's now the wave of Gen Z which came, and the wave of Gen Z came and it threatened Mr. Ruto government. And when the wave of Gen Z is coming down, we can see Mr. Odinga is joining Uhuru Kenyatta. And then we can see now Mr. Gachagua is slightly getting a backseat, where we can see Mr. Gachagua having a parallel press conference, who is regretting the advisors of president at the time, who could not understand that people did not want the the finance bill. Then from there, we can see rumors starting and some Kalenjin MPs claiming that Mr. Gachagua has to go home. Then we did not believe those stories. We thought that they were hearsay. Until now, a political process was orchestrated, and Mr. Gachagua was actually thrown out through a parliamentary process. And right now, as we speak, Mr. Gachagua has been impeached, and he can only speak in the court of public opinion, and is now a civilian. But we can see he is also now gaining some popularity in the Mount Kenya region, where now people think like he can now become the same voice which can be used to fight Mr. Ruto. So it is something which we have to be monitoring closely. But what is my take about Gachagua on all this predicament which have been happening to him? First of all, Mr. Gachagua has not been showing a lot of political enthusiasm which a typical politician need to be showing. Maybe unless if we learn from his tribulations now, that is something which we could tell in the future. But having said that, it doesn't mean that Gachagua cannot make inroads. I don't know up to what extent can sympathy play on his side. I hope he has a political enthusiast who will be able to plan with him well. But looking on the things which are happening currently, I think Mr. Gachagua risks being thrown in the pit of oblivion, or in the pit of being forgotten, if he does not play his politics very well. Why? Because he has refused to go bubonic. I think it could have been very well or very good if Mr. Gachagua decided to go bubonic and decided to take the system which actually removed him from power by the horns. I think it would be very wise for Rigathi Gachagua to hold mega rallies and start fighting the government from the front. This idea where I'm seeing him in the churches and trying to tell Kikuyu people to remain silent, I think it is not going to play in his favor. Because what the government is going to do, the government is going to tarnish his name, and I think they will finally try to finish him before he can speak. If I were Gachagua, I would speak now. If there is anything which he knew, unless if he is not sincere as he says, and by that to some extent, sincerity pays. If in any case he wants to be an influential person in Kenyan politics, he will have to tell Kenyans the reasons, the things which have been playing in that government. Everybody is aware that Mr. Ruto government has been doing a lot of impunity. There have been a lot of things which have not been happening well. That is why we even have Andani almost controlling every serious cycle in Kenya. And Mr. Gachagua will have to speak. We'll have to explain to Kenya what happened in Ruto government when he was inside. Otherwise, he cannot play cool and dumb and say that he will tell people in a later date. In politics, a later date does not exist. In politics, it is now. If you have to finish your opponent, it is now. In fact, if Gachagua played politics well, he couldn't have been impeached. He could have actually finished these people before they targeted him. But the fact that he played cool and think and thought that maybe these people could not be able to go into the fierce direction, that is what actually made him to be at this point. So when people are targeting you and attacking you, you cannot be cool, you cannot be silent. You have to look also for ways to respond. I understand they could want to respond in court cases and assemble in Mount Kenya region, but that one is not enough. Mr. Gachagua will have to come out and clearly explain to people what people do not know. Have Kenyans lost money in Ruto's government? Are people being duped? What is happening? Evil things happening in the government. He will have to play more than a whistleblower. So there is a lot. He cannot play dumb and cool. Otherwise, they will destroy him. And the moment when you start saying that I will say by this time, we remember this were the tactics which Mr. Odinga always used to say. By the time we are waiting for Mr. Raila Odinga to speak to us, he has already joined the government. So this tactics where people say that I will speak in January, sometimes they don't work too much because we don't know how much changes would have happened and how much tribulation will have happened to him to the extent that he cannot even talk anything. Remember, this is a government which is abducting people and doing so many bad things. Actually, even the foreign government had to come out and start and threaten them that they will stop helping them if they continue abducting people. So it's a government which, regarding Gachagua, cannot be playing cool and good to them. These are the people who removed him from power. So what Gachagua has to do, he has to start fighting them now. If in any case, the way he claims he has resources and money, if he has resources and money, he has to fight them. He cannot play cool. Otherwise, these people have not yet finished with him. They will target to finish him more. And there is no problem in practicing democracy and fighting the government. In any case, if the government is fighting you, why are you fearing to fight them? So for me, I think that is a poor strategy which Mr. Gachagua is practicing. And if in any case he doesn't want to fight the government by himself alone, there are other parallel methods in which you can fight the government, including even having your own proxies. You can have people who give direct information which comes from you, but you don't have to rather speak. You will have to have proxies. He cannot just continue this. He is too much naked. The reason why he was impeached, it is because he was naked. He was not able to assemble a coalition which could fight for him. It was a poor strategy again. So he cannot remain silent. He should learn from the impeachment and how the impeachment was orchestrated. And he now think moving forward. Okay, Nancy Royo is saying he is now supporting impeachment of Ruto. Good. So, Nancy Royo, do you think Ruto impeachment will work based on what is happening in the grassroots, especially in the parliament? So, yes, he could be supporting the impeachment of Ruto, but are we going to have a coalition in the parliament? Do you want to tell me that Ishongwa will support it? Do you want to tell me Embu senator will support it? Yeah, you see, that is the wish of every Kenyan. Every Kenyan citizen, civilian like me, we wish Ruto can be impeached. But can it work in the parliamentary process as we think? Remember, Mr. Ruto is bribing everybody, or he could. And if Mr. Ruto, who has already sat in the government, do you want to tell me that? And you know how it is, how difficult it. You see how hard he fought to get the government. Can you now imagine Mr. Ruto has a risk of losing the government? Don't you think that Mr. Ruto is ready to bribe everybody so that thing goes away? Do you still want to tell me that Mr. Odinga will support Ruto impeachment, and there is and all the looks suggest that they are sitting together? So I do not doubt it. So the only impeachment which can ouster Ruto is impeachment from People's Parliament, not Kenyan Parliament. I'm talking of People's Parliament. As Kenyans, we now decide enough is enough, and this guy we are going to impeach him. For your information, I think if this impeachment of Ruto is going to not to work, let's say that we take it to the Parliament, and then he emerges victorious, he will now come to the public of opinion and now start celebrating that. Me, I will only advise the people who are saying that they want to impeach Ruto. Only take it to the parliament if you have if you have a coalition which you believe can actually implement it. But if you believe that Mr. Ruto cannot be impeached through a parliamentary process, let's look for other processes. There is civil disobedience which works, and other things other than going to the parliament to waste time there, and then this guy comes out with a victory speech and saying now that we have now defeated our enemies, and then he will now use that platform, because Mr. Ruto always likes using the parliament as a platform to propagate his politics further. Remember, that is the same processes he used in 2021 when he vowed that BBI had to collapse, because that is the only way in which he can show that he has power. So if we have a constitutional process, or if we have a parliamentary process, which will pretend, because to me I believe it's a pretense, which pretend that they want to oust Ruto, and they are unable to do it, Ruto will claim victory. And actually, Ruto can use that one as fuel for 2027. And we should not be giving Ruto more fuel. So for me, what I think is let's abandon a parliamentary process which is pretending that they want to oust Ruto. But rather, let's think about, because I do not see that coalition. Somebody who is going to be impeached, you can feel it. You can feel, like now, maybe Nancy Royo, I can ask you, how many MPs will support that impeachment? Let's say we have an impeachment of Ruto today. Can we get 100 MPs supporting it? How many from Mount Kenya region will support it? So that is a big question I'm asking. Yes, it is possible. It is doable. I don't deny it is doable. You can do it. He can be impeached. But that one is only possible if you have independent people, and the people who are not ready to be threatened or coerced to do it. That's the problem. That's the problem. And Mboga bwana tusalimia. Good. Karibuni sana hapa. Keep sharing my link and continue subscribing my channel. We will be discussing issues. So that's the process. When they were vying in 2022, they were always talking about state capture. And the truth of the matter is that Mr. Ruto and Mr. Gachagua and the rest, they used to be the biggest state capture possible. And Shiko unauliziwa. So kama unafuatilia hapa, you can do. And by the way, Shiko, one of these fine days you can come here and we chat. So usikuwe nje sana. And thank you very much. I saw you playing these things in your house. Thank you. I'm humbled. So they used to talk of state capture. So we cannot continue of talking of state capture while the real people who were actually state capture are the ones who are ruling now. Mr. Ruto all the time was talking of state capture. You can see how the parliament is behaving. You can see how the judiciary is behaving. You can see how the agencies are many agencies are behaving. So the truth of the matter is, we now have the biggest rot happening. We now have the biggest state capture happening in our country. But we cannot live by that. That is not an issue to make us lose hope. People can still get power back. Power can return to people. But how will power return to people? Power will return to people if we are able to identify leaders and also identify our problems. We have to zero in into our problems. Which are our problems? Number one problem in Kenya is Ruto. We have to zero in into that problem. We microscope it. Ruto is Kenyan problem number one. We have agreed. So, and Bogabe is saying something. You used to host with her, Mutebei TV. She's a brainy girl and a nonsense. Under no nonsense. Under no nonsense. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I look forward to having her here in my channel too. Uh, we are just trying to build some rhetoric here, which can also help our people. Because actually, the biggest casualties in what is all happening in all these things, dear brothers and sisters, has been Mount Kenya region. Mount Kenya region has voted for a government, and now they are now being fought by the same government they fought for. I think it is just like the same things which Orengo used to say, although I don't agree with his politics so much, but at least I can agree with this statement. Hmm? This government will punish you more than me. I didn't know that the governments punish people who voted for them more than actually people who did not vote for them. It's crazy. I thought that government should always be protecting their base. People who voted for you should be protected. So Mubero Badio, Nimo Dani, Kama SIM card. Badio from the One Mic Show. Oh, thank you, Badio. Good. We met the other day on the other side, and yeah, I was really happy for the dialogue we had. Very civil dialogue. The other time we were talking about the election of Donald Trump, and I aired out my views on that direction, and I will join you this Friday also to give more insight. But for now, we have also to see how we are going to shape Kenya, because Kenya cannot continue the way we are continuing, because there are so many things which are not working well. But now, the reason why I brought the issues of Gachagua here, it is because now he is now the hot person in the Kenyan topic or in the Kenyan politics, and we need to see, we need to analyze why did this fallout come, and can this fallout help us, even in the case that is there? Can Gachagua be trusted? These are the things which we need, because at the end of the day, we will need a courageous man to fight this regime. We will need somebody courageous to fight this regime. Yes, as people, we have already agreed in one accord that Ruto regime has to go. Ruto regime is not working for the people. They are working for themselves. But we will need somebody at the end of the day. And now we can now see some of the people who have now started fronting themselves in the court of public opinion. We can see Gachagua walking all the way in churches and everywhere and trying to tell Kikuyu people to remain silent and they should not retaliate on anything. And they take their kura waiting for 2027 to vote. So I don't think that one is enough. I think Gachagua has to become an anti-Ruto critic. For me, I think Gachagua needs to tell Kenya the reason why he was ostracized, the reason why he was gotten out. Uh, all those parliamentary issues which were brought to us, I don't think they make sense. That was a political process to ouster him. He needs to tell, because I think like these issues of Adani, we should not be trying to look for news or to look for information. I think Gachagua has a lot of information of some of the rot which is happening in the government. And I think for people to vindicate Gachagua, for people to take Gachagua as a serious man in this society, he is the Kenyan number one who should at least give us information of what has been happening in the Ruto government. He cannot remain silent. I remember the time when Matiba resigned from Moi government in 80s. Somebody's writing, time will come for him to talk. It's still early to do it. Okay. In politics, there's nothing like it's early. I think Murembo, you can agree with me that in politics there's nothing like early. There's nothing like early. In politics, all information is good. You don't need to say everything, but you can drop things in bits. But in politics, there's no good time. In fact, you can tell yourself this is a good time, and then you realize that things have already happened. Because remember, the government will also fight him seriously. What the government, okay, Nancy, you are saying 2027 is very near. I agree. 2027 is not far. In fact, if there is any person who wants to build a coalition which can beat Ruto, that direction has to start being shaped now. And you know, Kenyans do not want this usual rhetorics which we always talk about, by tribe, assembly of the rich without. People want an assembly through the. And by the way, the Gen Zs who were rioting half an year ago, they gave us an accord and a checklist. I think any revolution which has to come to Kenya, I think can start from there. And I think for us to oust Ruto, it has to start as a revolution. It has to come as a revolution, anti-Ruto revolution, anti-Ruto whereby people have to declare they are tired of him. Maybe people are listening here, maybe I could be different. Do you people think like Ruto deserves a second term? Maybe let's start from there. Do you people think come 2027, Ruto deserves a second term? Based on what Ruto has done, does he deserve a second term? Are there tangible things which you people you think Ruto needs so that he is re-elected back? I need to hear from you people. Nancy Royo is saying no. So Nancy Royo, and I believe there could be many Kenyans who are saying Ruto does not deserve a second term. Then, if that is the question, so if we are agreeing Ruto does not deserve a second term, then there must be, we must start forming up, and they should not be usual coalition, and it should be a coalition, as long as it should not be a coalition only which is an anti-Ruto coalition. It must be a coalition which is purely showing people hope and direction. Kenyans are tired of voting for the same thing and things not working for them. Kenyans are tired of poverty. Kenyans are tired of leaders who are not working for them. Kenyans are tired of bureaucrats only working for themselves. So we have to agree of that. So let me read what Suze is saying. Remember, he still has court cases. No problem about that. Having court cases doesn't mean that you have to still play dumb and cool and still play coward to the same government which is trying to fight you. Let me tell you, when the government want to finish you, even if you play dumb and cool, they will finish you. That's how they will finish you. The governments have no sympathy. If they have targeted themselves on you, you will not survive. So you better die as you speak. You better die as you assemble, and as you assemble your arsenal. But there's no cool death when the government has decided to target you. So just remember that. So remember, he still has court cases. Those cases are there, but remember, they have not been proven. Although we know that because judiciary is highly siding with Zakayo, there could be a tendency of him also losing in those cases. So that could also be a dichotomy. I don't refuse about that. So Nancy, you say we haven't learned a big lesson. I like him buying time and talk later. It's a game plan. It's a game plan. I want to explain here. You see, in Russia, even those people who choose to remain silent, they are still fought by the government. I want people to understand, to look at how Putin fights his enemies. I want people to look at it. Some of those billionaires who he thinks they are not, they are called oligarchs in Russia. Some of those people who Putin believes they are not on his side. Even finishes very silent ones. Somebody is not talking, and if they finish it. This other one who was killed the other time, and people moved on because he was a bit the opposite Navalny. This Navalny who was killed in the prison, and they pretended he did not die. He was still killed. So that's why I'm saying, when the government has planned to finish you, they have planned. So, and by the way, for your information, what the government does when they see you are buying time, I'm now giving this one as politics 01. When the government is very happy when they hear you are buying time. You are buying time. They're usually very happy. Why? Because the government will not be soft on you. Because remember, Ruto is aware Gachagua has potential to finish him. That is not something which you should take him. You should take. Ruto is aware. Ruto is aware that Gachagua has potential to finish him. They have done so much together, and Gachagua, so he is aware. So whether Gachagua speaks or he doesn't speak, he is a targeted man. He's a targeted man. So, and the best security which Gachagua can get You can get it from people. And how do you get security from people? You have stand for people, you have to speak for them, you have to speak for the issues which matter. Gachagua needs to know that. Gachagua needs to know he is on a borrowed time. It's very sad to say this statement, but he is on borrowed time. So I do not support the issue whereby you see the rot in the government and you're not outspoken. If there is corruption in the government, somebody has to speak about it. You know, in Kenya we have spoken about corruption too much, but we speak in our dinner tables. We speak in our dinner tables. There's too much corruption. There's too much corruption. But when it comes to forming a coalition which can help us fight all these vices which are in Kenya, no one is willing to speak about these things. No wonder, even for Ruto in 2022 during the debate, he said that corruption cannot stop development. That is what he said. Ruto said corruption cannot prevent, not stop. Corruption cannot prevent development. Really? What if all money has been stolen? Is it not going to affect development? So those are the issues which we have to. Not all the time when you have to side with big politicians. There is a time when they are wrong. So I believe corruption is an enemy to development. But Ruto believes corruption does not affect development. You understand? So, and now Ruto is interested in extending his term. We need to agree on that. His proxies are speaking about it. The senator of Nandi, Cherargei, you spoke about it, extension of the term. So what does that mean? So somebody who is thinking about extending of the term, by default, he is also saying that 2027 ni mimi nitachaguliwa. That is what his brain is saying, if I'm not wrong. If somebody is thinking of extending term, he even thinks he deserves a second term, whether I have done anything or not, whether Kenyans are happy, whether Kenyans are angry. So to him, he is not there. So Ruto believes, even with the prevailing conditions which we have in Kenya, he deserves a second term. And because many other leaders in Kenya, other 4 leaders got a second term, or even got more terms than 2, he also deserves a more term. You people, I don't know if you know the entitlement which Mr. Ruto has. You know, sometimes you people, when we are talking, we should also be aware of that. There are people with entitlement. If Uhuru got 2 terms, you people, you think Ruto doesn't think he can get 2 terms in his brain? And to him, he thinks Uhuru is a stupid man. Uhuru is not somebody who can fight a lot, who can do so many things. So we need to know that in Ruto brains, for him, second term is a must. That is what he thinks. Second term is a must. There's no in which he can rule Kenya for 1 term. That is according to him. Now, this person who wants to do 2 terms and maybe beyond, if Akina Cherargei bring that thing which they are telling us they will bring, if those are the prevailing conditions, why not become bubonic and shape your own political career if you have to do it? That is why, to me, I believe the more Gachagua remains silent, the more irrelevant it becomes. There will be a day you can speak, but there's something we always say: speaking the wrong time. You see, there's something we call death, and when somebody is dying, there are those people who die because they were not able to get the right medicine the right time. But you cannot bring medicine when somebody has been taken to mortuary. So that's what I'm saying. Gachagua can speak, but Gachagua could actually speak the wrong time. You could speak when the information you are giving is no longer relevant, is no longer necessary. I can tell you, Kenyans are ready. You can see, like Morara, for example. I follow him. Morara is trying to pinpoint the problem. You see, that is the best effort he can do. He doesn't have a lot of money, like he can assemble a serious political movement. I agree, in his own unique ways, he is doing a lot. That is the best he can do. At least he is showing people, he is showing the lies which Mr. Ruto has been doing all over the country. Susie is saying something. Remember, Kenyans are eager to hear what he will say. I don't deny. Clear statement. So saying it now will make no relevance during campaign time. They will cover up their mess before time and earn Ruto re-election. Susie, I want to say this. Somebody who is losing power, you can see it. You can feel the ground. Somebody who is losing power. And for somebody to lose power, there is something which you have to engineer. It's called realignment. There's no way in which we will say we want to remove Ruto and we are not able to shape realignment. People, we need to see people shifting from Ruto. If our target is to oust Ruto, there's no way in which we will be saying we want to oust Ruto, at the same time, people are with him. There are still a Kabar of Mount Kenya region who are with him. Anyway, I agree. Many of parliamentarians who in Mount Kenya region and beyond who are with Ruto will lose their seats. But how are we going to enable to make it possible for Ruto to lose power? That is question number one. Ruto has to lose power in 2027, but it has to be methodological. It must be a process because somebody who is losing power, it is visible. Even as he is planning to steal votes, when it becomes totally irrelevant and decampaigned. But there must be a process which should be showing Kenyans that no one is interested with this guy. We need those anti-Ruto rhetoric everywhere. Everywhere. Ruto has to be amplified. And it has to get amplified from political circles and from civilian cycles. But it cannot just be done on. You see, from civilian cycle, it is now clear Ruto must go. We are not sure that politicians will join us unless civilians, we get bold civilians, people like us, who will be ready now to fight for those seats. But we will need a leader who will be able now to guide all that energy to remove Ruto. Civilians, we have agreed. Everybody is saying Ruto must go. But now we need now to be guided. And by the way, we can take this momentum for the next 3 years. 3 years is not a lot of time to campaign. So I do not agree with Susie when you say that it is a little bit early. I don't agree with that. So this happened like 3 weeks ago. He will be coming out. He will fight. Just bear with him. Okay, I don't refuse that. Fighting will be there. But let's ask ourselves, at what corner is Rigathi Gachagua going to fight? Because I still don't understand. Because we are hearing that he cannot vie for political seats. For me, I don't want Gachagua to fight aiming for a seat. Or because you want to fight, you want to vie in the next 10 years when you will be eligible, because they are saying that you cannot vie if you have stayed for 10 years. So you stay with that information for 6 years. The day when you want to become a president, he will come and now want to say those things. I hope that is not the strategy you want to use. I hope Gachagua is not wanting to use that information so that it can help him. We want Gachagua to bring that information out if he has any information. Because you begin fighting the government from the information you have. That is usually the starting point. The data. Already Gachagua has a data. So that data is the one which we need to have so that we can fight him. That is if he is pro-people. And for your information, I don't know. Maybe Susie, because you're also writing for me here. Is Gachagua pro-people? Is Gachagua pro-people? Is he part of us? Is he trying to fight the government like us? Is he pro-people? Because maybe we could be talking of somebody who is on the other axis, who is on the other axis of power brokers. Is he on the side of people? It's a big question we have to ask. And by the way, for your information, do we have a pro-people person who can guide this revolution? Because in Kenya there is an internal revolution. We have all agreed that Ruto must go. But the problem is we have no one to tap that energy. We have no one to tap that energy. But and for you to tap this energy also, you have also to be somebody of good character. You cannot just tap this energy. Na wewe si mtu ambaye tabia yako si mzuri. So we need credible people. Credibility also matters. Character. I understand. There are people who tell me that Njiru saa zingine usisemange hivyo. Saa hii ile kitu tunataka ni kutoa Ruto, hata kama ni mwizi anataka kukuja hapo kumtoa. Let's first of all agree on that. Sometimes I disagree on that. I am for character and we guide our energy to that. Doesn't mean that in Kenya tutaichagua mtu mzuri. Sisi we are the only people who have been condemned to be electing thieves all a long time. People with the political experiences which do not help us. We don't have somebody from the grassroots. We don't have somebody in the villages who can come and guide this revolution. Because in Kenya we have a revolution. We have a silent revolution. The only thing we are lacking is somebody to tap that energy. And with it. So please, let's to listen to, if there is somebody who believes he is political, and by the way, for now, to tap this energy, you don't even need money. I'm double sure that in 2027, for the first time, if Kenyans are called upon, even kuchangia, tumechangia right at one time when he came with a number, with an M-Pesa number, tumemchangia at one time. I believe right now, if we have a serious Kenyan who is ready to stand with the people, we can do those small M-Pesa donations. And we have a people-centered political party which will be guided by one Kenyan who is serious, and we guide all this energy. Because there is serious Ruto energy in Kenya, but we don't have somebody to tap that energy. Gachagua is unable to tap that energy because he has been impeached, and it cannot help him directly to get power. But who else? Somebody needs to stand. Me, I'm speaking to all Kenyans, 55 million of us. Guys, can we see how we can tap this revolution energy? And we see how to oust this guy? It is possible to do it. Other countries that are ousting people. El Salvador did it by bringing Bukele. Argentina did it by bringing somebody different, an economist. You people, are you aware that Argentina brought somebody with no political experience, just a right winger from nowhere? Somebody, I think, a professor. So it is possible. But where do you begin? You begin by critical. You have to be critical to the system. You begin from there. And then people have to connect that with your character. And then you should not waver. So what I don't like is, I don't also want, again, people to pose as proxies for William Ruto. You are posing as if you are fighting William Ruto. Then finally, when the D-Day comes, you go and you are saying that still this guy. That's also okay. Let me read some comments here. The Rain anasema hivi. No. Ishongwa role is to have Ruto for a second time. Ishongwa. Wow. You know, Kenyans got tired of Ruto year one. So Ishongwa wants us to have Ruto for another 5 years, 9 years, uncomfortable years. There's another person who told me that everybody works in a second term. Kuna mtu ananiambia ati Ruto atafanya kazi second term. I'm not sure. I disagree. So even Aris Wahome, those are Kikuyus, eh? So Kikuyus are not yet tired. So inakaa Wakikuyu wanafanywa mambo mazuri. But I think, though I don't know if these people are actually Kikuyu spokesmen, eh? So I don't know sure. So, but I think we have people like Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria sometimes he is always weak in making decisions. So simfuatilia sana. Unless he is a bit robust. I need somebody who is more conscious. So Moses Kuria, that can turn around. He could turn around, but does he have that consciousness, that moral consciousness? You see, there is something we call moral consciousness, which does not operate in many of these politicians of ours. Moral consciousness is whereby you say, I will only follow pro-people agenda. I want our people to be served. I want Kenyans to be served. So, Dalane, do you believe Moses Kuria has that moral consciousness to fight for Kenyans that can turn around? Simply because they understand that money ain't everything. I agree. Money is not everything. But you need people with the high moral consciousness. Which we are missing here. So I need Moses Kuria to prove to me that he is a guy of high moral consciousness. I don't see it. Darren is saying Parliament works for Ruto. So why are we paying them? That's a big question. Why are we paying them? If Parliament is working for Ruto, why are we paying them? Why am I being deducted my taxes to pay them? If they are working for, it can't be that way. In fact, they need to be censored. This is how you censor them. So that's why I'm saying somebody has to rise up and we work against all these people. And it is possible to raise an anti-Ruto movement which can actually succeed. But it has to be with the people with high moral consciousness, moral standard. It will not be just from Tom, Dick and Harry. Watu ambao wajielewi. Wacha tusikie vile Suzie anasema, even to represent a case, no, even to present a case in court takes time. So you can build a strong case. Otherwise, Hari has no brethren. The right time will come for Gachagua to speak. Okay. So this still stands with time will tell. Time. I'm of another school of thoughts because I have followed many revolutions globally. And I want to explain them here. All the revolutions which happened. Every revolution has a detonation point. Every revolution has a point where people say enough is enough. It usually has that detonation point. There are those revolutions which start from people, like the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring started from people, where people started burning themselves. Like that Tunisian boy, 24 years old, who decided to pour petrol on himself and he burnt himself. And the whole wave swept close to 7 presidents. I agree on that. That's a civil guided revolution. One of the best. It works perfectly. There is another one. The revolution which comes from politicians who have seen the consciousness. And now they believe that now enough is enough and I don't need to be in this circle again. I have now to tell people, this is the right direction, this is what I believe, this is my conviction. And then people relate their conviction to your conviction. And then civil rebellion starts from there. That can also be another direction. That one works so much in Kenya. It is the same thing which happened to Ruto. Ruto was able to present a case to Kenyans. But the problem is that the person who presented a case to Kenyans, he has no moral consciousness. So he presented a case to Kenyans, but everything which he was presenting, he was not true to it. And that is why it did not work. Things remained the same or even they went to the worst. He simply wanted to harvest all that energy which was in Kenya and he now guided it for himself. And now he believes now he can now cajole Kenyans and do whatever they want. So those are the things we have to understand that. So politics has to work. And the politics works by the way. That is why we usually have power takeovers. Politics works. Like it comes, we had Uhuru, now we have Ruto. It is because politics work. You can see that those changes happening. But the problem which is there are things which do not change. People's attitude on the politics is not changing. And that's why in Kenya, we have also to change people's attitude on politics. Kenyans' attitude on politics has to change. That if people are not there to serve you, remove them. That should be the formula. If people are not there to serve us, get them out, remove them, oust them. It's biblical. Even God himself used to remove these people when they became too much anti-people. Nebuchadnezzar was removed. He was even taken to the bushes to eat grass. So these things are normal. So my school of thought is simple. Mr. Ruto has to go down. Mr. Ruto presidency has to end in 2027. But for that to happen, there must be a courageous and a concerted effort of all Kenyans who believe in change, who believe that they need good life for their children. For instance, everything is failing in our country. Education has failed. Our graduates, the way now we used to produce graduates and they were competitive globally, is no longer the case. Kenyans have to do examinations to even get admission in American universities. And many of them are actually failing. These days, if you give a Kenyan GRE examination, graduate record exam, that is the examination which you have to do so that you get admission in an American university. If you give Kenyans that examination, they cannot pass. It never used to be case before. Kenyans used to have very good English. They could do proper English. I don't know what is happening. Kenyans want to be employed for nothing. They are given those international examinations. They are not doing well. Suddenly, that one is showing that there is deterioration of our education system. I don't know if it is about 844, this other one which we are doing, CBC. I hope CBC will produce strong Kenyans who cannot be able to be competitive in the global stage. I hope it will do that. I'm not sure. So Delaine is saying something, zero chance. But you also have to stop doubting Rigathi. We all saw what was done to him. Even before he speaks, we need to support him. You see, I would only, Susie, and okay, Delaine, I would only support Gachagua from his moral consciousness. That is my spirit of supporting any leader. So I support consciousness and tranquility. A leader who is serious to support and to build a coalition which is pro people. That's the only thing. So even as Gachagua, up to now, I do not have credible information which tells me that I deserve to support Gachagua. So I can only support Gachagua after I see the meat which he is made of. So far, I only know him as a Ruto proxy. So the modern day Gachagua, I don't know him. He will have to prove himself to me. I need to see Gachagua beyond impeachment. So he has to still convince me that he is a pro-people person. So the rain, I can give him time, but I will not support him for now. I cannot support him because he has to prove himself to me that he is a credible person. He is someone who can stand for people. He has to prove. Personally, I do not support rhetoric alone. So Susie is saying something. Yes, Darren, we need to support Rigathi and wait for his direction. I will support him after his direction because we don't know his direction, where it will go. Direction is anything. Susie, if I doubt that, if I have projected your name well, Susie Q, you cannot support somebody and they have not given direction. We only support people based on what they are saying. And up to now, Gachagua has not said anything. The only thing Gachagua has said is tokireki, tunyamaze kabisa. So to me, that is not enough information which will keep me supporting him. So for now, I don't support him. But when he will give direction, I will. If that direction will be pro-people, I will. I will support him. So I only support people based on the. I only support somebody because of their spoken rhetoric. Politics is rhetoric. Rhetoric is your idea to the masses. So I don't know what his rhetoric is about. So there is a lot for me. He has to convince me. And I believe there are many Kenyans who could also be on my access too. So Gachagua has to convince me. For now, I'm not convinced. So this direction, remember direction can be north, south, east, west. So direction can be anything. What if Gachagua comes? Because things happen in politics. I'm not saying it will happen. What if he made fences with even this Ruto who impeached him? We have seen things happening. What if they made fences? He made fences with Ruto, and now tells us that we need to support him. What if that is the direction? So the Rain says, pay attention to the messages. We may know one or two of these people. Of course, I understand. So we are trying to dig the hole so that we can see what is happening inside. We are looking, but personally, I only support politicians with clarity of mind. So me, I will not just say that I'm supporting somebody and I don't see serious. Sometimes I could feel a little bit. Maybe somebody could feel tired of me because I take time to make a decision. Because personally, my standard for a leader are very high. I don't just support somebody because they're speaking. I need meat in the flesh. I will not just stand with you. That's why even when you tell me about Karonzo, I need something more than I'm a Mkamba. I need to stand with Mount Kenya people. You tell me I'm Wamaro. I need more. I need meat in the flesh. That's the problem I have. I will never. I need somebody has to be credible. Somebody has to convince me. Somebody has to tell me, let's go this way because of this and this. So you have to convince me highly. Let me hear what Suzy is saying. Yes, our house we strategize. We just don't come out to the streets and act up in the heat of the moment. Hmm? Really? I don't think this is what happened during Matiba time. Matiba time, things were very outspoken. Maybe unless you tell me people have bought a leaf from Matiba time, the way Matiba became very critical and he was damaged by Moi that time. Eh? So if you know the house of Mombi, that's how we deal with things. Maybe, can you bring Matiba issues here? Because during I don't think that if Mombi house was properly organized, and Suzy, you want to say if Mombi house was properly organized, they should have been able to stop Moi's presidency a long time ago. It comes a time when also Mombi's house gets confused, and I think sometimes Mombi's house has to go through a lot of tribulation so that they can get out of the issues they are. And that is usually one of the problems which I usually have with Mombi house. Saa zingine lazima waumie sana, wakatakatwe ili watoke. That's why you'll always be hearing of them saying Tosokiro Mokaro, Tosokiro Mokaro, Tosokiro Mokaro, because sometimes they can go off the axis. Waende na waumie vibaya sana. So Suz, Mombi house has those issues of going off track. And by the time they are realizing they are off track, they are extremely damaged. Wameharibikiwa sana. They are losing everything. So even as we give Mombi House that credibility, they have also credibility, or they have issues of not understanding the signs of time. Huh? They have that time. They don't understand the signs of time. How comes in 2022 Mombi House couldn't understand who Ruto was? They are no person who had done research about. So Mombi, let's say that Mombi House is a progressive house which keeps on learning. And they always learn, and after they learn, they don't repeat the mistakes which they do. So, and let's say that this is a very hard lesson which Mombi House has learned, and they will not return to it. But again, even as we speak on this, Mombi House has also to understand that as we bring people together, we have also to make sure that we are also bringing leaders, or we are raising leaders who are more pro-people than tribal. We have also to balance between Kenya and tribalism, so that we don't go too much on our axis alone, and then we lose all the other Kenyans at the same time. So we have to be Mombi House, and at the same time we are co-working with the Kenyans. So there must be two axes rotating at different points. So this is telling me you cannot compare Moi era and now. No, they were still Kikuyu people. They were still Mombi people. You know, you repeat things. Things are not new. Vitu zinaenda zikikuja. The same things you are calling to Kunia, they used to be there. So look, Kenya now has really evolved. Okay, I agree, evolution, and every nation evolves. Every nation evolves. Like we are evolving in terms of tribes, we are evolving in terms of integration, we are evolving in terms of how we associate with each other, and we have now become more integrated than before. I agree. Our demographics are changing. We are no longer an homogeneous society like we used to be. We are now very segmented. So you cannot compare Moi era and now. Look, Kenya now has really evolved from that era of dictatorship. But Ruto wants to go back there. Yes, Ruto wants to go back there. But at the same time, there are some Mombi people enabling him to do that. That's why all the time they're usually very happy, and when they're even talking, unasikia tu mheshimiwa rais, isingekuwa ni wewe karibu hata wamwambia tungekula leo mheshimiwa, right? When you hear people talking those issues of praising a president even when he is doing nothing, just know that there are problems. We have to stop praising people who are not even doing anything. Okay, Suzy, let me take your point of reasoning. Mombi House has changed, and we do things silently, and we will decide when the right time will come. Let me ask you a question. We are pretty sure that Mombi House has no capacity to raise a leader alone. So, do you want to tell me that Mombi House has a concept of associating with other tribes also because we need them? Because it will be one of the winning formula. Mombi House has to know how to associate with others. Mombi House has to know how to associate with the Luos, even if they seem to play with in Ruto's back court now. Mombi's house has to know how to associate with the other tribes. So can you tell me, is Mombi House capable of bringing a coalition which is pro-people, and that coalition is able to bring anti-Ruto rhetoric, which can actually become a force in 2027? I need somebody with an answer for that, maybe to help me understand that. Are we able to do that? Can Mombi House build that rhetoric? Because we need it. So we need to know that Mombi House has to be a leader, has to lead Kenyans, has to tell Kenyans that this is our sense of direction. So I don't know if still Mombi House is interested in producing a president again in the near future, because people plan that as a people. If Mombi House needs to have a president in the next 5 or 10 years, we have to start seeing those signs. So maybe, Suze, you can tell me, is Mombi House interested in producing a president in the near future? If yes, what are the strategies which they are doing? Because you have to raise a leader. You have to raise a leader who will have that acceptability, and he can be able to go in other fronts, and people can be able to vote for him. So let Gachagua speak the time when you want to speak. I have no problem with that. But I want also to tell him that people are also assembling to fight him. As he is preparing to fight them, they're also preparing to fight him. So this is a game where everybody wants to fight each other. I hope they will spare his life, despite what they will not stand attempts to kill him or poison him, as they said the other time. I hope they will allow him to stand so that they can fight them. So what I don't know is that is Ruto ready to lose power, orchestrated by some of the people who have been close to him? Those are things which we have to start asking ourselves. So me, what I will tell Bwana Gachagua, okoka vizuri sasa. You have now an opportunity to serve God well, and to also become a good political player who stands with the people. Understand what people want, collect notes, enda ukiambua watu wanajua kile wanataka. Zunguka hiyo mlima yote unataka kuzunguka. Collect notes, andika notes, jua watu wanataka nini. Please, and never ever betray people. Stand with the people. If you stand with the people, people will never stand against you. That is the advice which I can give Gachagua. Stand with the people all the time. Simama kwa pande ya watu. Sai watu wanalia njaa, watu wanalia kazi. Those are the things which start fighting for that. That's an access which you need to fight. Give strategy of how Kenyans can get job, of how Kenyans can, and Kenyans will not forget you. Even as they will be sponsoring media headlines saying that Mlima waanzia kusahau Gachagua. You will stand by the people and will not do. There's no one who has ever stand with the people na akapoteza. Let's hear the messaging here. If you know, okay, that you cannot, okay. Of course, a president will come from Mombi House in the future. Future means from 0 to infinity. Future is not definite. So, of course, a president will come from Mombi House in the future. So, we need to understand this future. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 100 years. Because future is indeterminate. But I do not see Gachagua being one. Okay, that one we agree. I agree with you. Gachagua is a gatekeeper. He is a kingmaker. He plays that role very well. I think Raila Odinga abandoned that role when he decided to go and work with Ruto. I don't know if he loses the AU seat, if still Kenyans will have that trust in him that he can still be a kingmaker and they will trust him. I hope if he loses the AU seat, he will not start coming to us telling us that he needs to stand a 60th time. He can stand. He can stand for Kikuyu and form a coalition with other tribes to ask Ruto. But for a president, no. I agree. Gachagua is a kingmaker. That one I agree. But even as he's becoming a kingmaker, he has to do his mathematics well. He should not guide Kikuyus into the wrong direction. Mtu wa kuenda kuwafanyia zile vitu wamefanyiwa sahi. We have seen so many people from Mount Kenya region being ousted from the government. This government is too much tribal. We have not seen that inclusivity. I'm not fighting for Kikuyus around here. I'm fighting for Kenyans of all walks of life. They need to be employed. Kenyans is owned by everybody. So we need people from everywhere. So Darren anasema kitu. 100% Mombi House Ken. And with a Mombi VP. So we are still talking of a Mombi VP, Mombi Vice President, Deputy President. So up to now, we are speaking that Kikuyus still want the second position, the second fiddle. Sio lazima we accommodate these people that keep biting us. Jiru, I was not for Rigathi. I agree. So even me, I have not moved a single inch. I was not for Rigathi. I couldn't understand how he supported this. Either all he did to you, with all that he did to you. Okay. Please, not in future. It had to be next. Future, I say, 2032, not 2027. So there is somebody who is saying Mount Kenya or Kikuyus can produce a leader in 2032. So, Suze, can you tell me in 2027 who will be the president? Because you are agreeing that Ruto has to go out. So do you want to tell me that in 2027, so Ruto one term, another one term, and then, so who you are 2027, bado atoke Mount Kenya? Ama who you are 2027 atoke region ingine? Is that what you mean? Not the future, but now. And I say 2027. Gachagua can support another president come 2027 like Kalonzo. Now you have brought Kalonzo. Is Kalonzo having that biting force which can fight Ruto? Because Ruto also needs somebody who has a biting force. Nikuuliza nauliza. Nyinyi watu. Munaona Kalonzo akiwa na ile msukumo ya kusukuma Ruto. Sababu Ruto atakuwa anasema munaona sasa hawa. Munaona hawa. Does Kalonzo have that biting force? I need to hear from you. Does Kalonzo have the biting force? Personally, I disagree. Kalonzo has to show more serious strength than he has ever shown in life. I want to see a strong Kalonzo. I want to see a defiant Kalonzo. I want to see a Kalonzo who is holding opposition with more serious consciousness. I want to be seeing a Kalonzo ambaye anapigana sana. And Kalonzo has that opportunity. Raila alienda. I'm not seeing a fierce Kalonzo. I'm not seeing a bubonic Kalonzo. That's the problem which I have. I am not seeing a fierce Kalonzo. Ama nyinyi mumeona. I need Kalonzo with venom. I need Kalonzo, a poisonous Kalonzo. I need Kalonzo who is fighting Ruto. He has power. He can even fight him now. But he's too cool. I want to see Kalonzo who is fighting for people. That is the key. Why is Kalonzo not fighting for? He needs to be feared everywhere. He is everywhere. Okay. Not giving way. It had to be 2027. And I honestly believe it can't be Kalonzo. Darina Mekata. It can't be Kalonzo. Mimi ile kitu iko, I want somebody fierce. Because you see, the only person who can fight Kalonzo has to be bubonic. Ni mtu ambaye haogopi matusi. and you can go one-on-one because you know how Ruto is. But how watu wazuri sana who are saying that they want to play very diplomatic, siwaone. So I think Kalonzo has to prove himself more. Guys, what do you think? I understand Kalonzo has political experience. He has political experience. But does he have that consciousness to fight Ruto? That's what I'm asking. Anyway, there's a lot we can discuss here, and I feel we can hold ourselves right to the moral consciousness, moral standard. But so there is a lot. So let's say this as I finish. Mount Kenya politics has not shaped itself. I don't think even Kindiki himself, even if he is the most senior Mount Kenya person now, Kindiki has no moral consciousness to fight for anything in Kenya. So let's say that in Kikuyu it is work in progress. Kiongozi anatengenezwa, kiongozi atatokezea na hatujui ni nani. Let's pray that people with moral consciousness, watu ambao hawashindwi, and people who can fight stronger watatokezea. Darren anasema kitu. Actually, Rigathi is a stronger guy and cannot be bought like Kalonzo. See, we have told both Kikuyus we must fight them. It's complicated for now. Yeah. Wale wa Kikuyu wako na pesa, mujitokeze sasa. We know Kikuyus muko na pesa, mujitokeze. Pesa ni sauti to some extent. Pesa ni sauti. Kama wewe uko na pesa yako and you believe you can assemble an anti-Ruto movement, tokezea sasa. Help us. At least we get out of these problems. It is unbelievable that we achieve Vision 2030, which is not being done, with Ruto still being at the helm. So wale Wakikuyu mko na pesa, tunawahitaji sasa. Mumeona hata Marekani vile watu kama akina Elon Musk wamejitokeza na wakasaidia. The reason why Mungu anakupeanga pesa saa zingine ni ili uweze kuzitumia kusaidia watu the right time. So nyinyi wale Wakikuyu mko na pesa, you have to guide this revolution. Nyinyi Wakikuyu ambao mnajua kuongea, you have to guide this revolution. Na alafu sasa tuanzie kujiuliza chama ni gani? Ni Jubilee ama kuna chama ingine itakuja? Maybe Darren you can tell me this. Chama ya 2027 ni gani? Ama tunaingia na ya Morara? Yeye anasema inject. 2027 ni chama ni gani? Anyway, there are so many gaps we need to fill, and we have to be serious and critical about everything. Anyway, I wish them well. I wish Rigathi Gachagua well. I hope he has a political strategy. Asikuwe tu anakuja tu kuongea tu. I hope he has a political strategy which will help his people and Kenya at large. Otherwise, we cannot continue the way we have been continuing, and we say things are okay and as usual. Thank you. Tupatane tena jioni. I'll be here for another recording. I'll be coming to speak about possible political realignments in Kenya at night. Thank you.